So treat this video like a playbook, and like every good playbook, it follows some specific rules, but the most important is if your money is easy to access, you will spend it. That's not a weakness that just you have, it's in our human nature, because people love to spend money. From now on in this video, treat every dollar that you save or invest as gone. This mindset shift enables you to succeed more than interest rates or good investments. It's the first rule you must apply if you want to follow through this video. And one method that will support you in this journey is our step number 1. It is to build a hard to spend asset group. Now, what do I mean by that? Last year I talked about gold and silver, and those markets have exploded, as you may know. It's because in uncertain times, people love to hold on to things they can physically see, they can physically feel. But actually over the past few months I see a lot of analysts that talk already about a gold bubble. That's why I'm going to share with you my updated framework for 2026. From my point of view, physical assets like precious metals still matter in 2026, but with a slightly updated approach. Last year I suggested to you to buy as much grams as you can afford, but this year I'm recommending to you that you should not focus on the grams anymore, focus on the money you spend. So starting in January 2026, I will take a fixed amount from my paycheck every month and spend it on gold. If the gold price is high, then I will buy less gold. If the gold price is low, I can afford more. But the cap to the fixed amount of gold I can get every month is limited to the amount of money I agreed on. As you may notice, this is not to approach how to get rich fast, but this will build up a habit. Investing in precious metals like gold and silver is good for you because it's hard to return into cash. That way you have to hold onto your money, while it still keeps the value over time. The reason why physical assets matter that much in the current situation we are in, it's because they remain physical assets. They're not just digital numbers in an app. So basically our physical assets can't be hacked. And to be real here, gold has proven over thousands of years to be a storage of value. So the last point in step number 1 I want to mention is that we designed our behavior. And that brings us to our step number 2, pay your essentials. With essentials I still mean paying for your housing, for food, for groceries, for anything which you need to survive. But the new rule for 2026 is define necessity by function. Don't tie necessary items to habits or psychology. If you can avoid overspending on something, you should do it. For example, tap water in many countries is the same as bottled water. So if you compare those two, one is a need, the other one is a choice. Or another example is that you don't need to live downtown and pay $3,000 a month just for rent. Because if you live in such an apartment, you may feel good, but it actually harms your financials. And in this year, I still use my 50-30-20 rule. So I guess you also know the 50-30-20 rule, right? Where you spend 50% on your needs, 30% on your wants, and 20% you just save or invest. And I believe especially in 2026 we can shift so much more from our needs and wants into saving and investing. Let me explain. One of the first things I do as soon as I get paid is to pay myself first. It's a fixed percentage from my main income. I started also with 20% as the rule suggests, which I store or I invest in the stock market, for example. But the twist I did was I increased it every month by 5%. And consequently, that requires the other 2 points, the needs and wants, to be much lower. And just only through this approach I found that I was spending too much on rent. It was almost 1/3 of my income. And that's why I moved to a new place where it's only 1/6 of my income at the moment. And only through this analysis I iterated through every cost position. And nowadays I can confidently say that I'm able to live a comfortable lifestyle while still securing my financials. I don't overspend like crazy, I don't live a frugal life, I just enjoy my life but make sure that my future is also covered. And this brings us to our step number 3. Having an emergency fund is outdated. Aim for cash buckets. In 2026, it's too simplistic to just say save $1,000 or just build a 6 months emergency fund. Instead, I used 3 different cash buckets. To bucket A, I have instant access. This is ultra liquid, low risk cash that I can use for medical bills, urgent repairs and so on. And in this cash bucket A, I store around 1 month of my monthly expenses. But it's safe to say when you store around 1 month of your salary in that cash bucket A, you will be fine. In bucket B, I store a lot more money, but I also have delayed access to it. This money is placed in high yield savings or money market accounts, so you can reach your money in a day or 2, but you won't reach out to it in an impulse. The money in this bucket should support your needs for around 2 to 3 months. And in the last bucket, the bucket number C, I store opportunity cash, and this was actually the game changer for me. This isn't an emergency fund, it's opportunity capital. This money is there to buy assets in pullbacks or to start side businesses. Most people never get this type of fund because their cash is either spent or it's locked away in long-term investments. Actually, this bucket number C was the primary reason I could buy some land a few months ago. So a friend came up to me and said that there was a deal in the hometown of my parents where we could buy some land for extraordinary cheap amount, and we did that, and just a few months later it went up by 50%. And I was only able to do that because in the bucket C I stored a little bit of cash. So I had just a little bit of money on the side to pay for that opportunity, and now I'm 50% up already, just 3 months in. And this type of investment brings us to our step number 4, how to invest in 2026 in a modern and practical way. Let's start with the stock market and discuss some options here. To be honest, from my point of view, the stock market will be very uncertain in 2026. For the moment, I can't recommend to you to just buy some ETFs and hope for the best. In these times, I love to have some liquid cash in my bank account, because then I can trade actively and participate in the stock market. I know that this is high risk, because I don't simply buy some stocks on the market, I do short selling or I go for long on specific stocks. But because of the uncertainty, I don't hold on too very long in these type of options. I just look for the momentum, try to anticipate it, go in, and I don't become greedy. And that way I made 3K in just 30 days and by only investing 10 minutes a day. If you now want to know how I did that and which trading platforms I chose, write me down in the comment section down below the word stocks. That way I know that you're interested in this subject, so that at the end of the day I know that you're interested in the stock market and I can cover it in an upcoming video. Another option to invest in 2026 is with so-called fractional real estate. You and I know that the real estate prices went through the roof. They make no sense at all. Some deals around 40 years and you have to pay back your mortgage. It makes no actual sense, honestly. So not in terms of living in your own home, but investing into real estate got quite interesting recently with options like fractional real estate. Because thanks to technological advancements, you don't need to own a whole building on your own. Simply, you can own a part of a building or an apartment. So let me explain that in detail to you. So there are different platforms like fundraise.com where people come together and invest their money in a project. If enough funds are allocated, then the building is bought by the funds which are in that pool. And last, the ownership gets distributed to all of the contributors relative to their investment. And that's the absolute bonus, because you experience rent-like cash flow without the risk of owning the whole building. These platforms democratize real assets and help you to diversify your investments. Okay, after we talked a lot about investments, we come to our step number 5, which is forecast your wants. Because impulse spending usually isn't a money problem, it's a timing problem. You also know the situation, right? You're walking through a shopping mall, you see a deal, and you wish that you just saw the deal 2 weeks ago when it was the first of the month, because back then you had the money. And this is exactly a timing problem where you have to pass on a deal because you don't have the funds in that moment, or you take up a credit. I was so tired finding myself at 25 years of age constantly in that situation. For now more than 8 years, at the end of every month, I list up every potential purchase I can do in the upcoming time. And every item gets assigned to a specific amount, so what does this item cost, and to due date, so the latest date I want to have it. Let's do a quick example. So I need a pair of shoes, I need perfume, and I need a new phone, let's say. And as explained, each item gets assigned a due date and a price tag. That way I make sure not to overspend the month, plus I create also small cash buckets. So in this example we could buy, for example, the perfume immediately because it costs only $50. The sneakers cost $200, so we have to save, let's say, $100 a month. And for the phone at least we have to save $150 a month to be able to buy it in 9 months in. Because simply said, if you save up $150 for 9 months, you would stand at around $1,350. This approach converts impulses into controlled desires. And this keeps you focused and disciplined with your money. This brings us to our step number 6, securing your main income. Let's be real here for a minute. You can only think about investing if you have a stable income. And in our current world, the biggest risk isn't inflation, it's to have a safe job. A lot of people struggle with it and they don't have a high income, so they look with fear into the future. And that's why, especially in 2026, I invest in skill upgrades, because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done and nothing matters, then I can also sell my knowledge. For example, I just recently refreshed my knowledge on project management, although I'm a program manager, although I have experience in that, although I have years and years worked for customers and managed multi-million-dollar budgets. But still I paid for a certificate that costs around $5,000. Because at the end of the day, as said, if everything goes wrong, I'm the most reliable asset to save my future. As you can see, this video isn't about the next side hustle, it's about risk management. And as a good project manager, you mitigate your risks. And this brings us to our last step, number 7, our monthly financial review. At the end of every month I ask myself, what did go wrong? Where did my money leak? And what can I remove next month? This way I make sure that my system is lean and not complicated, because I don't want to lose track of the money flow. So 2026 isn't about the next crypto meme coin, it's about systems that protect you from yourself. And with the systems I explained, you build stability first, but also are able to hop onto opportunities when they emerge. If you now want to see that practical systems in action, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel and write system down below. I can also show you my AI agents that automate all my work, so I'm not investing myself, I'm not short selling any stocks. My AI agents do that for me. And those AI agents simply act like assistants, so if I get a certain profit I agreed on with the AI agent beforehand, it will take out the cash, it doesn't become greedy, it's just mathematical, neutral, and not behavior or emotional driven like myself. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.